Hey, what it do, sports world? It's me again. The Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs, is here, y'all. Where passion meets performance and champions are made. I'm your host, Ray Diggs, bringing you the energy, the insight, and the mindset from across the world of sports. From the locker rooms to the big stage, this is where the real ones talk and legends rise, and the motto stays the same. Winners will always win. The Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs. We are here and we ain't going nowhere. Make sure y'all tune in because we're about to go live now. Peace. Hey, what it do, sports world, and welcome to the Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs, man. Hey, man, it's going to be a big show tonight. Hey, listen, we about to get ready and talk about the college football playoffs. As y'all know, the quarterfinals is here. We got some big games coming up. Actually, it's starting tomorrow with Miami versus Ohio State. Man, can Miami offense be stopped? Can Ohio State go and beat Miami, which they are the favorite? They should beat them, but will Miami be able to withstand that explosive and very tough Ohio State defense? Man, we got Alabama against the number one team in the nation. Normally, it's vice versa. It's Alabama, the number one team in the nation. But this time, it's the Indiana Hoosiers. Man, this right here is going to be a barn burner. This right here is going to be a hell of a game. We got Alabama against Indiana. Then we also got the revenge game. We got Ole Miss against Georgia. Remember what happened a few weeks ago, about a month ago, when Georgia faced against Ohio. When Ole Miss faced against Georgia. Finally get their revenge without Lane Kiffin. Now, this is going to be a hard game. Man, everybody know how Kirby Smart gets when it's playoff time. They know how that defense is. And Kirby Smart is the best when it comes down to mid-game adjustments. They don't have Lane Kiffin on the other side. They got Pete Golden. Can Pete Golden go and upset the man, the myth, Kirby Smart? I don't know. But I can tell you this right here. They're going to be a hell of a game between Ole Miss and Georgia. Then the biggest game, I think, of the weekend, in my opinion, is the Oregon Ducks against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Yep, you heard me right. The Texas Tech Red Raiders. Man, this right here is a game where a lot of people, even though Oregon should be the underdogs, they are considered the favorite. I said they are the favorite as well, because when I look at both of these teams, I just look at Oregon as being a more complete team than I feel like they're a more complete team than Texas Tech. But man, before I get started, man, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the share button, and make sure y'all give me your feedback on what you all think about this segment. But man, I'm so happy to be back on. I'm so happy to be back on the podcast. Y'all, it's going to be a hell of a week of college football. It's the college football playoffs. First, we got Alabama against Indiana. Can Alabama pull the upset versus the top-ranking Hoosiers? Now, when we look at this game right here, when you look at this game, you would think that Alabama should be the favorite. When you go by the 5 stars, when you go by all the big-name players, Alabama has all of those. The only thing that Indiana actually have is they have the head coach, and then they have the quarterback, which is Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner. But when you think about it, you have Ty Simpson, who's considered to be a top pick. You have Caden Proctor, who's considered to be a top pick. You have Deontay Lawson, who's considered to be a first, second round draft pick. You have Jefferson. You have one of the best cornerbacks in the nation in Zayden Brown. When we look at both of these teams, then you have Tim Keenan, one of the I'm pretty sure he's up on somebody's big board as a first or second, or maybe a second, late second round pick. Tim Keenan. When we talk about Indiana, we just basically talk about the head coach and the quarterback. You don't really talk about nothing else when it comes down to the Indiana Hoosiers. But this team right here will really surprise y'all. This right here is the number one team in the nation for a reason. They have been the best team all season, the most consistent team. Yes, they went into Oregon and beat the Duck at Alston Stadium. And then they beat Ohio State, a team that a lot of people didn't feel like could be beaten. And now they are considered by a lot of people as the underdog against the mighty Alabama Crimson Tide. This is going to be a big game. Alabama defensive front versus Indiana's run first identity. If they cannot get Fernando Mendoza to make mistakes, this game right here possibly could be a blowout. And if Alabama cannot get pressure on him, which in the first half they could not do in against Oklahoma. If they cannot do the same thing against Fernando Mendoza, it could get ugly. Also, I think that Alabama has to establish the run game. I said this right here today when I was talking to one of my boys, man. I said, listen, the reason why Alabama running backs are not built for a shotgun type of offense. Alabama's offense, running backs are built for handoffs, meaning you under center. The quarterback is under center, or at least get into the pistol. But because they are standing right there in the shotgun beside them, that is the reason why Alabama running back cannot get a running start and get any yards. That's why their running game has been stale damn near almost the end of the season. Alabama needs to get up under center. Put Ty Simpson under center, and then hand it off to those running backs under center. And I think that they can pretty much expose. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a team that I'm not saying that Indiana is a weak run defensive team. We saw what they did against Ohio State. We saw what they did against Oregon. So this is a very good run defensive team. But I think Alabama can expose a lot of weaknesses that Indiana got, even though they hadn't showed a lot of their weaknesses. But I think they can expose the ones that they have shown this season. And it's like I said, also when it comes down to the wide receivers, we don't even know any of. A lot of people can't name not one or two of Indiana receivers. We know Ryan Williams. We know Isaiah Horton. We know Gian Bernard. We know these receivers right here. We know that they got Brooks, the young true freshman. You cannot name not one besides Omar Cooper, which is they say he's back. We can't name not one Indiana receiver. But guess what though? They get the job done. You don't know their name, but you're gonna know their name on Wednesday night on Thursday night when these two teams take the field. Because Indiana's they got some very capable receivers. Omar Cooper caught the touchdown, the game-winning touchdown to win the game against Iowa. This is a very, very deep wide receiver room that Indiana have. So even though you don't know their name, but you're going to see them out there on that field making plays. And Alabama defense is going to have to stop that. I think that Alabama is one of the best secondaries that Indiana has faced. I think that when I look back, it might be the second best. Secondary that they have faced, being that Ohio State is probably the best. I would say Alabama is the second best. But when I look at these two teams, it could come down to coaching. And I think that if I had to pick, I would say Indiana coach is a better coach. Now, he's not more accomplished, but I think that right now, his team takes his mentality. He's a very up and a perky head coach. He loves to be physical, and their team takes after him. When it comes to physicality, this team right here, Indiana, is a very physical team. This right here is going to be a very physical game. I think this right here possibly can be the most physical game out of all of these games, to be honest with you. When I'm just looking back at looking at all of the games, I think that this right here could be the most physical game this weekend out of all of the games. That's the Indiana Alabama game. Now, if I had to go and pick, y'all know I'm rolling Tide. But this game right here scares me. I think that Indiana, their defense can make it very uncomfortable for Ty Simpson. If they come out and they make it uncomfortable for him and hit him the first couple 2 or 3 times and get him off target, this game right here can possibly be they can run away with it. Because we've seen Ty Simpson in a lot of games and a few games this year just disappear. He's like a deer in the headlights. Even though when we saw this right here against Oklahoma in the first half, in the first quarter, I think, first maybe quarter and a half, then he figured it out. He started to pick apart the defense. Now, if that Ty Simpson shows up, Indiana is in trouble. But the problem is going to be this. This right here is probably the best defense that he's faced all year. Even though I like Georgia's defense, Georgia got a hell of a defense as well. But I think Indiana is a more complete defense. They're the no-namers. They don't have no names. They ain't like Georgia defense with the big names, but they have a defense that plays together. They can stop the run. They can get after your quarterback. They can make your quarterback uncomfortable. And if they can do that for Ty Simpson, I think this right can be a long day for this Alabama offense. and it would probably take the defense to slow down Fernando Mendoza in that run game. But I'm going to go with Alabama to win a close game. I think Alabama's going to win a close, physical game. I'm saying Alabama's going to win this game by between 3 to 7 points. So I would go with 35-31, Alabama winning against Indiana and knocking out the #1 team in the nation. Then we got Oregon and Texas Tech. Now, when you look at both of these teams, Oregon is a very good defensive team. They are built like a SEC team when it comes down to defense, but their secondary is very young. That's something that Texas Tech can expose. Texas Tech got a really, really, really good defense, and they have a defensive player in Rodriguez that could have went to New York for the Heisman. That kid right there, he's going to have to play his heart out. He's going to have to play a hell of a game. This is the best offense that he's seen all year. This ain't BYU. This ain't none of those Big 10 teams, those Big 12 teams. This is the Oregon Ducks, one of the best teams out of the Big 10. This team right here has lost one game, and that's against Indiana. Guess what? It ain't no shame in losing against Indiana. It ain't no shame because Indiana beat everybody. I think that Texas Tech is going to win this game right here. No, let me stop. I think Oregon is going to win this game. I'm tripping. I think Oregon is going to win this game. With Dante Moore, that's one of my favorite quarterbacks, one of my favorite players in all of college football, man. I love the kid. I keep saying I hope he come back for another year. With the weapons that he have, I need to wait to see is the Corian Moore playing. Can somebody let me know if the Corian Moore playing? Maybe I might shoot a message and ask him, maybe a tip. But if the Corian Moore play, that's the true freshman wide receiver from Duncanville High School out there in Texas. This kid is a game changer. He's a game breaker. If this kid is playing, he can basically make it uncomfortable for Texas Tech cornerbacks. Him with that run game and Dante Moore, if Dante Moore don't come out there and make all those mistakes, I can see this game right here turning into a track meet. Because even though I think that Oregon got a really good defense, I still think Texas Tech can score. I think that this right here could possibly be a track meet. But if I had to pick one defense, well, as a team, a total team, I think Oregon is better as a team. Do I think Texas Tech could have went through the Big Ten and only lost one game and maybe, and only lose maybe one game? I think Texas Tech in the Big Ten loses at least 2 games. And honestly, when I look back at the Oregon game against Indiana, Oregon could have easily won that game. But mistakes hurt them. And what Indiana did was they capitalized on those mistakes. But when I look at this game right here, as a team, and then also as a coach, Dan Lanning, I'm picking Dan Lanning over Texas Tech head coach. And I like Texas Tech head coach, but I'm picking Dan Lanning over him. I think Dan Lanning have the defensive mindset. I think his defensive line and linebackers are going to be flying to the football. The only question marks that I got for this game will be their secondary, because their secondary is so young. That's the only reason. They have 2 freshmen starting at cornerback. So they have a very young secondary. And Texas Tech got some really tall receivers. Texas Tech got maybe some of the tallest receivers in college football. I don't think they have nobody under 6'3". So they have some very tall wideouts. That can be a problem for this Oregon Duck team. And if I just had to pick a team, do I think this right here is going to be a blowout? I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I do think it could possibly be. I think Oregon can win this game by 10. Oregon gonna control this game. I think that it's gonna come out. It's gonna be a really good game. It's gonna be a close game early, but I think late in the third quarter, I'm expecting for Oregon to finally take control of the game. And I think the experience of Dan Lanning, I think that right there is what is gonna take over this game late. And I'm gonna go with Oregon to win this game right here by at least 10 to 14 points. I think that just looking at these 2 teams, man, like I said, with the pace that Oregon runs at, I don't know if Texas Tech is going to be able to keep up for 4 quarters. Now, they could prove me wrong, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up for 4 quarters. And that's why I'm going to go with Oregon to win this game by between 10 to 14 points. I'm going Oregon to win that game. And then we're going to move on down to Miami and Ohio State, Miami. Now, this game right here, a lot of people looking at this game right here and saying that this game right here is already won. This game is actually tomorrow night. This game right here is already won. Now, the game got to be played on the field. It got to be. But a lot of people looking at this game right here and saying that the only way Miami can win this game is if Carson Beck is flawless, which he hadn't been in 2 years. So why would we think he's going to be flawless tomorrow night? I don't know. And then why would we think he's going to be flawless against that team, against that defense? Everybody know I hate Ohio State, but I gotta be honest and I gotta be real. And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat nothing. I think Ohio State got the easier out of all of the games. I think Ohio State really got the easiest matchup out of all of these top teams, out of Indiana, out of Texas Tech, and out of Georgia. I think Georgia got the second easiest. And that's only because Ole Miss is missing their coach. But this right here got to be the most easiest game to pick. Everybody know how I love Malachi Tony. That's my favorite wide receiver in all, well, one of my favorite wide receivers in all of college football, because Ryan Williams is also one of my favorite. But I just think that with Ohio State's offense and those NFL wideouts on the outside, and they got a good run game as well. And then they got Jalen Sayans. I just don't know if they're going to be able to stop all of that. And also, you got to think about it. This Ohio State team has gotten about 4 or 5 players on the defensive side that's already projected to go in the first round of the NFL draft. Linebackers, safeties, defensive linemen. I just don't know if Miami got a hell of a defensive line. I think that they probably got, between them and Ohio State and probably Georgia, those are the 3 best, and maybe Texas A&M. Those are the best defensive lines in all of college football. Bangs and the rest of them boys coming from the edges for Miami. But Ohio State is just a different beast. And then I think Ohio State is pissed off because they let one slip away against Indiana. I think this right here is going to be the game that they come out and pretty much show that, okay, this is how good that we can be. Can this Miami team, can this Miami secondary hold up and stop Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate? That's going to be hard. That's a hard task to ask any team. Also, can they even slow down the run game of Bo Jackson? That's a hard task to ask as well. I think Ohio State win this game, and I think they win this game easy. I think this right here is going to be an easy game. I'm going Ohio State to win this game by at least 14 points. I'm going 2 touchdowns only because I don't know if Carson Beck can pretty much, make the plays that's needed against Ohio State defense that can win you a championship, because I didn't see it against Texas A&M. Now, the best thing about this game right here is this played in a neutral site. Now, I said today, I was telling one of my friends today, I said, man, listen, I wish the game was played at Ohio State. Now, if the game was played at Ohio State, it's 99% chance that Ohio State would have beat Miami. But because it's a neutral site, I'm giving Miami a chance. If Carson Beck could come out there and make it uncomfortable for this Ohio State defense, the defensive backs, and make throws, and Fletcher run wild like he did last week, which I don't expect him to do. But if he comes out here and runs wild, and Malachi Tony and those receivers, Daniels and the boys, if they can make plays down the field and force that Ohio State defense to bag up a little bit and don't blitz as much. Everybody know what Matt Patricia likes to do. He loves to blitz. And I think that if they blitz and make it uncomfortable for Carson Beck, I think that this game right here could possibly get out of hand. I think it can get out of hand. I'm going with Ohio State to win this game easily, man. I don't think it's going to be a test. I think, like I said before, I think this right here is the easiest game to pick out of all of the games, because I think that Miami is just superior I think that Ohio State is just a superior team to Miami. Yeah, Miami got Carson Beck. I think they got the better quarterback. Even hell, you might even say Miami probably got the better running back. But I don't know if they have the best. And hell, to be honest with you, they might got the best offensive line, because Miami got a hell of a good offensive line, But when I look at the wide receiver position, I think that Miami, I love Malachi Tony and the rest of them boys, but they ain't Jeremiah Smith. They ain't Carnell Tate. Then also when I look at the defensive side, The defensive side is strictly Ohio State. I think that it's a close between the defensive line, but when it comes down to the linebackers of Styles, and then that boy right there, he hit hard. And then you got Caleb Downs in the secondary. I just think that all around. And then when I look at it, who will I take as a coach? As a coach, I'm going with Ryan Day. Because I think Mario Cristobal, I just don't know if he's just, he got over that hump. He got the monkey off his back against Texas A&M. But this is a whole different team. This ain't Texas A&M. This is the Ohio State Buckeyes, the defending champions. I'm going with Ohio State to win this game by 14. And the nightcap, we got Ole Miss against Georgia. Can Ole Miss finally get their revenge? You got Ole Miss tempo versus Georgia defense. Georgia got a very good day. They got depth on their defensive side. They got a lot, the Georgia Bulldogs do. They got the quarterback. They got a quarterback that's not going to make he's not going to make a lot of mistakes. They got the running backs. They got the offensive lines. They got the wide receivers in Zachariah Branch that can make plays. They got the defensive line. They got the linebackers. They got the secondary. KJ Bolden, that's one of my favorite players. I've been watching this kid ever since he was down there at Bruford High School. The kid's been a dog. He been that dude. He been that. And then the one thing that they got that none of these other teams have is they got Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is one of the smartest coaches in college football. Kirby Smart is a coach that can go in down 10, down 14, and he can make those mid-game adjustments. He can make those halftime adjustments that a team needs to come back out and dominate a second half. And Ole Miss, yeah, they got Trinidad Chandler. Also, we don't know if Keywan Lacey he's gonna play. He's injured, and this is the wrong team to be injured against, especially as a running back and a shoulder injury. This is the wrong team to be having a shoulder injury against. It's this Georgia team, because them boys gonna be hitting, and they're gonna be hitting hard, and they're gonna be hitting hard early. And then when I look at the wide receivers, I think that they got some hell of a receivers. I think Trinidad Chandler, I think him and his receivers, and I think they can keep it close early. They can possibly keep it close for maybe 3 quarters. But I think that I don't know if they're going to be able to keep this going for 4 quarters, which is what you're going to need to beat a Georgia team that's well rested. This team right here, we haven't seen this team since they dominated Alabama in the SEC championship. They're well rested. The injuries they got their injury players back. This team right here is ready to click. They ready to scrap up, and they ready to hit. I just don't know if this team right here can withstand. Like I said, if they had Lane Kiffin, I would say that this right here would be a toss-up game, even though I would still go with Georgia. But because they have Pete Golden, I don't know how Pete Golden is going to be able to react with seeing Kirby Smart over there on the other side. Kirby Smart didn't give a damn about, to be honest, when he's on his side and he's looking over to Lane Kiffin, I think that, he knew that he was better than him as well. So I know how he's going to look when he's seeing Pete Golden over there calling the plays and pretty much running the Ole Miss team. And I think that that's going to be enough. I think that this team is going to be prepared. They're going to be ready. And I'm hoping that Georgia wins, because the winner of that game face the winner of the Ohio State and Miami game. And I don't think Ole Miss can beat. I know that Ole Miss can't beat Ohio State. I think that Georgia is the team that needs to face against Ohio State, because I think that's going to be a better matchup, and I think they can beat them. So I'm going to go with Kirby Smart and the Dogs. I think that Kirby Smart and the Dogs is going to be close. I think Ole Miss is going to fight early, but I think the Georgia Bulldogs is going to close this game out late. And I'm expecting them to win this game by at least 14 points. So basically, all of these games I picked, I expect for these games to win. The only game that I can say that I think is going to be close is I think that the Alabama game is going to be the closest. And that's only because they're playing against Indiana, and I think Indiana is a hell of a team. So my final picks is I'm going with Alabama over Indiana, Oregon over Texas Tech, Ohio State over Miami, Georgia over Ole Miss. Those are my picks for the of these games. And like I said before, Indiana is not invincible. They're a hell of a team. They're a really good team. They're very coached. They're coach. They follow what their coach does. They take the mentality of their coach. Alabama, I think that they have a better team. I think they're just a better team. When you look at every position, I think Alabama is just a better team. Now, Indiana ain't no pushovers. And I can see Indiana coming out there and putting up a big fight and dominating the game. I can see that. But I can also see Alabama coming out there dominating this game as well. Alabama's been disrespected. They've been disrespected for the last 2 weeks. And I think this team should take that personal. That's in my own opinion. I think they should take this personal. Alabama should take it personal. When you come out there with that tide on your, when you come out there with that Alabama logo on you, you have to take it personal that these teams are disrespecting you the way they are. Yes, Georgia slapped you around, but beat them early in the season. Okay, yes, Oklahoma slapped you around, but you got your revenge against them already. You got your revenge. And now they're saying that a Big Ten team, Indiana, is going to come out here, and the game is not going to even be close. Alabama, if y'all do not take that personal, it's something wrong. You need to go somewhere else and play college football because Alabama ain't the place for you. And I think that Alabama will take it personal. And I can me sitting here talking about Ohio State against Miami. Miami should take it personal that nobody's giving them a chance. You know, you should take that personal. Okay, y'all don't want to give us a chance. Watch this then. Okay, Ole Miss should take it personal that Georgia beat them up earlier this season, and now they're going to play against them again. You finally get your chance. And one thing I can tell you about football, any sport, it's hard to beat a team twice, but we've seen teams get beat twice. So I think that, you know, it's going to be a hard game for them only because I think that, you know, with Lane Kiffin calling plays, it'll be a little bit different. And then, like I said before, Texas Tech, you guys are the number 4 team in the nation. Yes, Texas. Yes, Oregon is the number 5 team, but you all are being disrespected. We don't even feel like you have a chance. A lot of us don't, you know, outside of people that's in Lubbock, we don't even feel like you have a chance to win this game. So you need to take this personal. And I think it will. I think it's going to be a hell of a week of college football. But those are my picks. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm going to go to the comments one section. Hey, what it do, bro? Juice World. Yeah, what it do, bro? Yeah, Bud Russell. Yep, Kirby Smart. Yeah, that's his name. And then my boy Sean Key said 21-10 Alabama. I'm gonna hold you to that one. I think that Alabama could win this game 21-10, but I think it's gonna be more points than that scored. Even though I think Alabama defense could dominate this game because Alabama got a hell of a defense. Their defense is what's been holding them afloat all season. It ain't been their defense the reason why they're losing. It's been because their offense has been so inconsistent. Their run game has been a pretty much no-show. And if Alabama comes out here and their offense, if their run game is a no-show again and their offense is inconsistent, Indiana's going to run them off the field. I promise you, they're going to run them off the field. And I don't think Indiana coach is going to take his foot off the gas. I think he's going to push the gas and he's going to let his team loose and dominate Alabama. Honestly, if he get the opportunity. So I think Alabama offense got to come out here to play. They got to. And the run game has got to be established early. You cannot wait till the second and third quarter. Ryan Grubb, you got to call the right plays. You got to call the right plays. I think Ryan Grubb is coaching for his job in this game. I could be wrong, but I would say that I think that he is coaching for his job. The reason I say that is because he has been horrible the last half of the season. Because besides the one game against Oklahoma, which the first quarter he was terrible, but then after that, you know, he finally figured it out. He figured out what he needed to do. He figured out he got into Ty Simpson's head and told him the plays that he needed to make. But recently, he's been horrible. And also, when you listen to what the Seattle Seahawks said, there's a reason why he got fired from the Seattle Seahawks. So I think that Ryan Grubb is going to have to call damn near a perfect game for these teams, for them to win this game, honestly. And I think that he's possible. I think that he could do it, you know. So it's a lot of things that got to go into this Alabama team. Kalen DeBoer, we happy to have you back. Clap for Kalen. But this is the game right here that can pretty much put you on the map in the SEC. If you can go out there and beat the number 1 team, and I'm gonna be honest with you, when I look at this game here, Indiana versus Alabama. Whoever wins this game, they have a really good chance to make it to the national championship, because I think Oregon is good, but I know that they're beatable. And I think that, honestly, I think that Texas Tech is good. But I think Alabama can beat them as well. And also, y'all, it's supposed to be a rainy game down there in Cali this weekend at the Rose Bowl. So who do that matches? Who do that pretty much? Who gets the advantage in that sense? The team that like to run the ball, honestly, I think that Indiana is a team that love to run the ball. But also Alabama loves to run the ball as well. But hey, man, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Hey, thank y'all again for listening to another great segment of the Winner Circle podcast. Hey, I will be coming back, man. I got to talk about the Stephon Diggs situation and what's going on with him down here in New England, and why I think that this right here is something that it always happens to the New England Patriots. So make sure y'all tune in, man, because I'll be coming back right now. So make sure y'all tune into that podcast as well. Till next time, man. Thank y'all again for listening to the Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Peace.
Mr. Diggs, we're on in 5. Vegas came to choose, but grandma chose trace. She raised me on scraps.